Warning, this is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. The following video is not an official Gundam project. This is an artistic critique and does not express the views of Bandai, Sunrise, or any other group affiliated with Mobile Suit Gundam. This tier list is a complete retrospective of the entire Universal Century Gundam anime timeline, and thus will contain some minor and major spoilers sprinkled throughout. This is strictly an opinion piece. This means our opinions may not line up with yours. I don't want any Gundam fanboys getting butthurt in the comments, so don't at me. If you commence an assault, I will have no choice but to retaliate. So here's a little taste of my medicine.
You got no right! Not even my own father hit me before!
I just knew it wouldn't work.
I have the right to make decisions about my future.
No, you don't! That's enough.
I'm feeling a little ill, sir.
And there's more where that came from, you rascals! All right then, preparing for launch. Communications team, start transmitting the signal now. All right, let's get this shit over with.
Amuro, reporting for duty, sir.
At ease, soldier. This is just a tier list video. You can drop the formalities.
Yes, sir, Captain Bright!
Right. Okay then.
I came here to laugh at you.
Oh boy.
Oh, wow! Real original, Char!
What? It's a classic line. People love it.
Okay, Char, whatever. Let's get started on this tier list, boys.
Hell yeah!
I'm ready.
What the? Who the hell is...
Someone say something about a tier list video?
Kai?
Ah, shit!
Oh, hell no.
Not
Get his
again?
ass out of
Who
here.
told you that this chat was happening?
Oh, come on, guys. Y'all never let me join these things. And I sure as hell didn't fight in multiple wars to be left out of the party.
Sorry, Kai. We really didn't plan another person joining. What do you think, Captain Bright?
I think it's a bad idea.
Damn straight.
But I suppose it wouldn't hurt if you sat in. But just remember, if you try and sneak your way into the discussion, I am kicking you out of the chat. Got it?
Sheesh. Just relax, Captain Bright. I'm just here to watch Amuro and Char have a lover's quarrel.
Oh, ha!
You are such a
Very
dick,
funny.
Kai.
I already regret my decision. Let's just get on with the mission briefing. I gathered you gentlemen here today to make the ultimate tier list video. We will be ranking every UC Gundam anime released up till now. Again, that's Universal Century timeline only. I love me some good old G Gundam and Wing, but if we start adding alternate universe spin-offs, we'll be here all day. The rules are as follows. They must be anime adaptations, so no manga. Doesn't matter if they are considered canon or not, so long as they are animated and on the UC timeline. So that includes TV series, movies, OVAs, and any other animated media. Got it?
Sounds good to me.
Seems fair enough.
Just one question, Captain. Does that also include Gundam Crossbone?
Oh, come on!
You
Really,
moron!
Kai? That's a manga! I told you already!
God damn it. Stop bringing Crossbone up every chance you get. It's not happening.
Well, fuck me then. Sorry, I'll butt out.
Good. I should have killed you back in the 1 Year War.
I wish I was KI-8 in the 1 Year War.
Settle down, guys. Now, we got a lot to get through here, so let's make it simple and start from the beginning. First up on the list, Mobile Suit Gundam, the original 1979 television series.
Oh man, a real classic.
Brings back good memories.
Well, except the part where my girlfriend died, and Amuro's lady friend exploded, and also that time he accidentally obliterated Lala, and Char literally never recovered.
Jesus Christ, Kai.
Oh, man. I want to kill myself now.
Well, damn. Didn't think we would go there that fast. Let's get back on track. The original 1979 series was truly groundbreaking. At that time, mecha anime was very childish and full of super-powered robots. There was always a monster of the week to battle, and ultimately it was just a cool power fantasy, like a typical Saturday morning cartoon. It's a genre now known as the super robot genre. But Mobile Suit Gundam really changed up the game by introducing the real mech genre, a far more grounded and realistic mecha concept. Mechas are no longer just giant robots. They are military vehicles that are operated from within by a pilot. They are just walking death machines built by mankind to gain supremacy over each other. There really weren't any dark, gritty war anime like this at the time. I think for those innovations alone, it deserves a lot of credit.
Right there with you, Captain. If we didn't have Gundam, there would be no Evangelion, Macross, Mech Warrior, Armored Core, and anime as a whole would be a completely different landscape.
While I am inclined to agree with you, gentlemen, we are glossing over a pretty big sore spot. The animation is not the greatest, while the art direction and mechanical design is timeless. The production for the series was relatively cheap, even for the time. Old veterans like ourselves love and adore it, but the visuals have not aged gracefully, and it doesn't help that the pacing is a slog compared to anything made post-1970s and 80s.
It hurts to admit it, but you're right, Char. This series is in desperate need of a remake. The closest we've gotten is the Gundam Origin manga, but we can touch on that later. It's a shame that such a beloved series never got a proper, modern update, considering how incredible its influence is and how successful its continuation has been. The fact they built a life-size moving Gundam before remaking the TV series is just mind-boggling. I pay my respect to the creator, Yoshiyuki Tomino, and the staff at Sunrise Studios, but I don't see this anywhere near an S rank. Besides, there are better alternatives to starting the franchise, in my opinion. With that being said, I was thinking an A or B tier.
I think I'm okay with a B tier.
Agreed. We've given credit where it's due, and I think B is a comfortable spot in the middle of the list to give us a good benchmark to work off of.
I'd give it a C, to be honest.
Shut up, Kai. No one gives a shit.
All right, so we're all in agreement then. Mobile Suit Gundam 0079 is getting a B tier. Now onto the movie trilogy version.
Wait a minute. Isn't that just a condensed version of the TV series?
That's technically true. However, there was quite a lot of touched up and redrawn scenes to help smooth out some of the original blemishes. There was also added dialogue that introduces the new type abilities earlier to help the concept feel more fleshed out. Not to mention, this version is often cited as being the first financially successful Gundam anime. The original series got poor ratings, but the model kit sales gave it a second life, allowing way for the movie trilogy version to become even more popular.
There are a lot of great character moments in the original series that are unfortunately lost in the abridged film versions. So while you do lose some world building with the journey being cut shorter, I honestly believe the pacing is better off for it. Do we really need an entire episode dedicated to the white base crew harvesting salt for their kitchen? I think not. The most important elements of the story remain intact, and it could easily replace the original series as being canon.
Well, I'll be damned. You two stole the words right from my mouth. I think the original series is still a great first entry, but I would be hard-pressed to recommend it over the movie trilogy version. In my opinion, this is the best way to start your Gundam journey, and for that, I easily give it an A.
It's definitely an A for me.
I will agree to an A, but personally, this is going into S-rank territory for me. It's one of the few times I think a compilation movie is actually superior to the original extended edition. Could not recommend it enough, especially that new 5.1 sound mix. Nearly blew up my speakers.
Hell yeah! The Gundam movie trilogy is getting an A tier.
All right! What's next, Captain?
Well, what do you say, boys? Do we want to go in release order or chronological order?
Considering we already brought up Gundam the Origin, I say we continue chronologically.
Good idea, Char. As I mentioned before, the closest thing that Gundam 0079 ever got to getting a remake was the Gundam Origin manga. Written and illustrated by the original Gundam character artist Yoshikazu Yasuhiko, or Yas for short. Gundam Origin was his way of retelling that original story, while expanding upon the source material in a more meaningful way. All the major events are the same, but minor details are changed to help round out the story. It felt far more epic in scale, and you really got a lot of time to let the characters breathe. It kept the classic art style but made the story feel more contemporary and really leaned into the sci-fi war drama we all know and love.
But most importantly, it contained many extended prequel segments that gave a deeper insight into my backstory and the rise of the Principality of Zeon, leading into the one-year war at the beginning of the original anime series.
Exactly! And thus, the Gundam Origin OVA films were born. Yasuhiko took up a directing role and made a gorgeous shot-for-shot anime adaptation of that prequel material. While it's a shame that he never followed through and remade the entire series, it's still an absolute treat to see this world in such high-quality animation.
Well said, Amuro. I gotta say, fellas, I have pretty much zero complaints here. You could technically nitpick it by mentioning the fact that the Gundam Origin version doesn't perfectly tie into the anime canon, specifically in regards to the development of mobile suit weapons. But to be honest, only your most hardcore Gundam nerds would really notice, and I personally have always felt this was a near-perfect prequel to the original series. The characters are treated with such reverence, and it's probably the best we've ever seen them on screen. The animation is top tier, while still keeping that retro 70s aesthetic. I think it's a must-watch for anyone getting into Gundam.
Yeah, man, it's good shit. Even I got a small part in it.
I still hope we will get to see a full Gundam remake in the form of a Gundam Origin continuation. But until then, this is an easy S tier for me.
I second that.
You can count me in.
Holy shit, that's a clean sweep. About time we could all appreciate some fine Gundam goodness. We have our first S-tier rank, gentlemen.
Woohoo!
Oh yeah, baby.
Epic.
And since we're in high spirits, we might as well talk about the latest Gundam side story directed by Yasuhiko.
Of course! Mobile Suit Gundam, Cucuruz Doan's Island.
Isn't this based on a notorious chopped episode of the original series?
That's right, episode 15 of the 1979 series. The animation was so horrendous, director Tomino asked them to remove it from all future broadcast reruns, and it was even completely omitted from the Blu-ray release.
It's painfully ironic that the only episode to be canceled from the series' history would end up being the only piece of that same series to get a glorious movie makeover.
And you know what? I'm still pretty happy with what we got. This is a great slice of life entry about the White Base crew during the one-year war. The battles are great, and you really get to see me go into full survival mode. It's a shame this is such a big tease for what could have been a full series.
Really, though? I mean, Tomino and Yasuhiko are like, what, almost 90 years old now? They don't have much time left, so they gotta stop dicking around and finish this shit already.
Damn. I don't like thinking about our Gundam gods leaving this mortal realm, but you're spitting facts, Kai. There's a pretty good chance someone will have to take over their legacy. I think this was a fun entry, but I gotta say, it doesn't really stand on its own very well. Without having seen the original series or movie Trilogy, most people would be pretty lost. It's nice supplementary material, but ultimately it's just some good old retro fan service. So for that, it's gotta go to at most an A tier. But maybe even a B would suffice.
If you know what you're getting into, it's some solid entertainment. I think anything lower than B would be too harsh.
I'm giving it an A because I'm the starring role.
That's pretty cringe, Amuro. Your bias aside. What the heck, I'll give it to you. Cucuruz Doan's Island gets an A tier. Next up is a bit of a black sheep of this series. We got Mobile Suit Gundam, Igloo.
Oh yeah, the ugly cousin of Final Fantasy, Spirits Within. Shit looks like Reboot and Code Lyoko.
Yeah, the uncanny valley here is strong.
The characters' lifeless smiles are pure nightmare fuel.
Guess we couldn't avoid the elephant in the room. Funnily enough, the 3D animation from this 2004 production has aged significantly worse than the 2D animation from the 1970 series. It's unintentionally hilarious because of how awkward and goofy the facial expressions and body movements are, but I think it's important to acknowledge the technical limitations at that time. Fully animated 3D films were still in their infancy outside of Hollywood productions, and it started off as an ambitious project made exclusively for a Gundam exhibit. However, it was popular enough to warrant a home video release and continuation. If you squint your eyes and pretend you are holding a controller, it feels like you are watching a cutscene for a really badass Gundam Battlefield game for the PlayStation 2.
And for as ugly and deformed as some of the human models can look. It is undeniably cool to see these iconic mobile suit and vehicle designs rendered in full 3D CGI. The whole thing is treated like a historical account, giving the episodes a History Channel historical reenactment vibe. The first chapters are dedicated to a Zeon weapons specialist team experimenting and developing different tools to fight in the war. And the second portion focuses on the Earth Federation soldiers' perspective from the ground up. It's not often we get to see the Grunt's POV, so if you like war movies and military fiction, this is loaded with sci-fi goodness.
I know it's a tough sell from the CGI perspective alone, but if you can look past it, the stories here are pretty awesome. Each episode focuses on a different weapon, and you get a wide range of experiences across the one-year war. This is actually the first Gundam anime that depicted the very first battle of the war, the Battle of Loom. This is when Char earned his nickname, the Red Comet. We wouldn't get to see this event again until Gundam Origin.
I think the only thing about Igloo that doesn't quite sit well with me, apart from the faces that is, would be the introduction of the Goddess of Death. Introducing ghosts into this hyper-realistic setting just felt like a really weird creative decision, in my opinion. I know it's probably just a delusion in the soldiers' minds, but the way it's depicted didn't really fit the Gundam world.
Yeah, she gave me the creeps.
I don't know. I thought she was kinda hot.
What the fuck?
Come on, Amuro, I'm just being honest. What do you think, Char? Smash or pass?
I'd probably hit it.
Gross! You two have fun with that.
Boys, focus! What are we gonna rank this? A part of me wants to put it in C tier because of the difficulty most will have with the animation style. But at the same time, there's some pretty neat lore worth checking out here.
I think C would be fair. Definitely not a D, though.
Well, much like the original series, it might be an acquired taste for some. But if you embrace it for what it is, there's a lot of hidden gems buried within. So I say B tier.
Wow, you just convinced me, Amuro. Gundam Igloo is getting a B tier. Let's move on to another rough and dirty ground troops war story, but this time, a real crowd pleaser. This is what many refer to as Gundam Vietnam. Of course, I'm referring to the OVA series, Mobile Suit Gundam, the 8th MS team.
Hell yeah! I've been waiting for this one!
This series seems impossible not to love. You have great characters with a fun team camaraderie, incredibly memorable battles, and that opening theme song is top tier. It was genius to set this series in the jungles of Southeast Asia. It allowed for some very creative moments of stealth and added an edge to the fight scenes. There are also a lot of interesting moments where the mobile suits break down or get stuck in the elements, forcing the characters to think on their feet and problem solve.
It's also refreshing to have a series where the main characters are all grown adult soldiers and not teenage kids who just happen to be gifted fighters. No offense, Amuro. Even though the series is only 12 episodes, you get a good amount of time to like all of the pilots and get a feel for this regional battle.
The weakest point of the plot is its love story. The idea of having a Romeo and Juliet star-crossed lovers type story between a Zeon and Earth Federation soldier wasn't a bad idea, and how the story concludes is fine enough. But there wasn't enough time to really develop the relationship between the two leads. The whole package still works pretty well, and even the comedic side characters are memorable. All in all, amazing cast and story.
And the fans would never forgive us if we didn't mention that hardcore goof custom battle. Zeon Colonel Norris Packard is a badass one-man army here. Everyone remembers the scene where he brutally stabs the Federation pilots in that gun tank with a giant-ass sword. That shit was metal as fuck.
I would put it in my top 3 mecha battles of all time. The choreography, framing, pacing, just everything about it was so smooth. This is how you do giant robot action.
I'm totally picking up what you guys are putting down here. But would y'all agree the final episode epilogue was a little unnecessary?
I suppose so, but it didn't really hurt my enjoyment. Just feel bad that kid lost his girlfriend after all that shit.
I hear ya. Well, guys, seems we are all in agreement here. Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
S tier!
You're damn right it is. The 8th MS team is going into S tier. Gentlemen, I was dreading this one. But we need to man up and talk about it. Get out your tissues because we're talking about Mobile Suit Gundam, 0080, War in the Pocket.
The only thing that gave me more PTSD than my military service was watching this series.
I have no shame admitting it. I cry every time.
It's a real tearjerker. Even the most stone, cold-hearted men break once they've witnessed it.
If it wasn't depressing enough already, they had the nerve to set this on Christmas! Charlie Brown ain't got shit on this!
Okay, guys, we need to collect ourselves if we're gonna pull through this. Let me just start by mentioning that this made history by being the very first Gundam OVA. If the viewers didn't already know, OVA stands for Original Video Animation. So this is a short story released on VHS. The animation was leagues above what Gundam looked like on television, due to having a higher budget divided over 6 episodes, as opposed to 40 plus. It also was able to be significantly more graphic due to not having to comply with TV broadcast regulations, making it one of the bloodiest Gundams at the time.
But what truly makes this special, of course, is its story and characters. The original 1979 series was always about the tragedy of war. It had nuance, portrayed its characters with moral ambiguity, and always took the time to show the antagonist's perspective. It was never a good versus evil, but rather a conflict of ideologies. The Zeon government was undeniably fascist, and they committed a massive, unforgivable war crime. However, its people were portrayed with empathy. The Zeon soldiers saw themselves as freedom fighters who fought for a noble cause. They were brave men who had families and dreams. The supposed good guys protagonist of the series, the Earth Federation, was the dominant global government that saw themselves as keepers of the peace. In reality, they were full of corrupt bureaucrats and imperialists. They were technically democratic, but they ruled over the space colonies with an iron fist. What started as a declaration of Zeonic independence quickly turned into a quest to build a world dictatorship. And in the middle of it all were the innocent civilians. In war, everyone is a casualty. There are no winners or losers, only survivors. This is the bread and butter of what Gundam is about, and 0080 War in the Pocket is the perfect illustration of those themes.
Even if you turn your brain off and ignore the philosophical themes, the action sequences are some of the best the series has to offer. You have the opening Zegok raid on the Arctic Federation base, the Camphor battle inside 6, and the final battle between the NT-1 Gundam and Zaku. It's hard to pick a favorite.
The mobile suit design of 0080 is often overlooked, and personally, I think it's underrated. Yutaka Izubuchi really knocked it out of the park here. The mobile suits have a far more bulky and tank-like appearance this time around, which gave it more realism and presence. They are depicted as the massive, terrifying monster machines that they are, and you really get a great sense of the chaos and havoc they can cause.
We also should mention the other GOAT, character artist Haruhiko Mikimoto. His most notable character designs are for the original Super Dimension Fortress Macross, and his art style has a very classic 80s anime aesthetic. His characters have a gentle sparkle to their eyes and are full of so much life. It really fits the tone of this more tragic story, and everyone feels like a fleshed-out, sympathetic character. There are no heroes and villains, just people trying to do the right thing. Whether Earth Federation or Zeon, you really don't want any of these people to get hurt, and I think it is very impressive they managed to make memorable and likable characters that you care for in only 6 episodes.
Centering the story around a young civilian boy was perfect. Far too often, these shows are so concerned with having a super strong protagonist who fights in exciting battles every episode, but 0080 gives you a look into an ordinary person's life during the chaos. It shows how susceptible children are to war propaganda, and you can't help but feel bad for such a naive young boy being taken advantage of. Our secondary protagonist, Bernie Wiseman, makes a compelling main pilot. It's always a nice change of pace when they center on a Zeon pilot as opposed to another Federation 1. No magic superpower new type bullshit. Just pure skill and technical ability.
Fun fact, for any of you Metal Gear Solid fans, the English dub of Bernie is voiced by David Hayter, Solid Snake himself.
If one of us has to be the bad guy and nitpick, the only real blemish on this masterpiece is some of its music. Most of the score is fantastic, but there are a few moments where they play incredibly campy 80s music. and it clashes pretty bad with the scenes. It's a product of its time, in that sense. Even though it might be inappropriate for those scenes, the show is strong enough as a whole that I don't think most people would even notice. The opening and ending themes sound cheerful at first, but once you finish the series, you won't be able to listen to them without crying.
The biggest misconception I often hear about this show is that it's too depressing, and the ending is ultimately pointless. If you think it was dark for the sake of being dark, I feel like you are missing the point. It would be a gross misrepresentation to say it's pointless. The theme of Gundam, regardless of toy sales, has always at the heart been about war is hell. But this series isn't just scene after scene of messed up shock value. It actually takes the time to examine these people for who they are. You see their hopes and dreams and really get to live in their shoes before it all goes wrong. It isn't just a sad ending. It completely subverts your expectations. It's a 1-2 punch right in the gut, and it leaves you thinking for days.
I'm still shook. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but I'll just say the dramatic irony and tension built up in the final 10 minutes of the last episode is truly breathtaking. This was Hitchcock levels of suspense. My heart was pounding for poor Alfred, and there hasn't been a Gundam moment quite like that since. This series accomplishes in only 6 episodes what most Gundam series waste 50 episodes trying to do. This is Gundam in its purest form, and you are doing yourself a disservice if you skip it. Hell, this actually functions perfectly as a standalone piece. If you trimmed off the opening and closing credits of each episode and stitched it all together, you would have a tightly paced 2-hour movie. Perhaps people will think we are overhyping this and being dramatic, but we lived this shit. In the end, all we are is dust in the wind.
More like a pile of hamburger meat in the wind.
Jesus Christ, Kai, too soon.
Soldiers, let's show our respect for our fallen brothers with a moment of silence. I salute you, Lieutenant Christina McKenzie. You are a hero to Side 6.
I salute you, young Alfred Izaruha. No child should ever be burdened with such a painful secret.
Corporal Bernard Wiseman, in this cold, ruthless world, you chose to fight and protect what was most precious to you. You are truly worthy of my father's name, and for that, I salute you.
R.I.P.
May the 5.9 billion souls lost during the 1-year war finally rest.
And to all the children who were robbed of their chance to grow old, may you forever dream amongst the stars.
10, hut!
Oops.
What the fuck?
My bad.
Kai!
Oh my
You
God!
disrespectful son of a bitch!
You did not just do that!
You know, for once in my life, I thought we were having a special moment here, and you just have to go and ruin it.
Jeez, I'm sorry. Okay, look, I've been holding that in for like 20 minutes now. My stomach is upset because I was over at Texas Colony and loaded up on a bunch of space barbecue and spicy space Tex-Mex. I mean, can you really blame me? That shit is dank AF.
Look, Kai, I can't say I don't love me some space Mexican food, and I take the wife and kids down to the Texas Colony Rodeo all the time. But I make sure I take some Tums before I literally shit myself on the Discord chat. The only reason I still haven't kicked you off is because I still harbor guilt about turning you and the Side 7 kids into child soldiers. So consider this your military discount.
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
You're gonna regret this, Noah Bright.
Just fucking let it go already. Bunch of crybabies. This is the definition of an S tier. No questions asked. Well, I guess I should lighten the mood. Just have one question for you, gentlemen. You like jazz?
Oh yeah, you know it!
Damn right I do. I'm a man of culture.
Yeah, baby.
That's the spirit, boys. Gotta love this jazz soundtrack.
And not just the sexy, upbeat jazz. The cute, zeonic pop music is pretty catchy and uplifting, too.
I don't mean to poop on the parade, but isn't this movie almost just as sad and fucked up as 0080?
I mean, you're not entirely wrong. This movie gets pretty grim. But damn, the combination of the freeform jazz mixed with the chaotic and heart-pounding action was genius. Sure, we've had space combat anime with jazz and pop soundtracks before, like Macross and Cowboy Bebop, but Gundam Thunderbolt takes it to a whole nother level.
Much like the origin, Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt is adapted from a manga source material, and very similarly, can be debated whether or not it fits in perfectly with canon. But I say, who gives a shit? Thunderbolt is too great to ignore and is a force to be reckoned with. Originally, this anime was released episodically as a net series online. But later, the episodes were compiled into a seamless film titled Gundam Thunderbolt December Sky. If you want a badass Gundam anime that requires zero prior knowledge of the universal century lore, but still captures what people love about Gundam, all wrapped up into one neat package, this is it.
I agree. One of the main themes you see in a lot of Gundam media is the idea of rival ace mobile suit pilots, and the two pilots here are iconic.
And of course, in classic universal century fashion, you get a really good look into both sides' perspective. Our main Federation Gundam pilot is named E.O. Fleming, and I gotta say, he's a real douchebag. Me and Amuro here have had our differences over the years, and we're known for being each other's nemesis, but damn, you were never this big of an asshole. The only cool thing about him is that he listens to jazz music while he absolutely slaughters everyone on the battlefield. That's pretty sick. He's fascinating to watch, and it definitely makes the story engaging. But for a lot of people, he's one of those characters you love to hate.
Gotta say, I agree. On the other hand, the Zeon pilot, Daryl Lorenz, is a real tragic figure. For a series all about war, they never really touched on amputees till this entry. The way they reveal his backstory about how he lost his limbs is done magnificently. This should be a textbook example of how to properly do a flashback montage. Visual storytelling at its finest. Anime is notorious for having overly long flashback sequences with super sappy and melodramatic monologues in the middle of fight scenes. But here, it's all about show, don't tell. You also get to see the Zeon's perspective towards the end of the one-year war. It was pretty obvious they weren't going to win, so the Principality of Zeon was getting desperate. And poor old Daryl here was thrown right into that mess. You gotta feel bad for him, even if he is a Zeke.
The rest of the supporting cast is also pretty well balanced, but the main focus is definitely lasered in on them going head-to-head on the battlefield. It makes for some incredibly hype moments you won't forget. This film definitely gets pretty mean-spirited and dark at some points, but it made the stakes feel a lot higher and felt believable.
And the Thunderbolt Gundam's design is so fucking cool. Just look at those shields.
It's one sexy-looking machine. But we can't leave out the Psycho Zaku with the giant-ass rocket booster on its back. The whole concept of hooking up an amputee's nervous system to the arms and legs of the mobile suit to control it directly is a pretty novel concept for the franchise. Overall, they cover a lot of fascinating ideas in a respectable runtime.
And that's really the secret sauce. This doesn't try and bog you down with lore, pile on a huge cast of expendable characters, or drag on longer than it's welcome. It's quick, clean, and packs a punch where it counts. You have a cocky monster versus a man who has nothing left to lose. It's almost perfect. But of course, I gotta be the middleman and nitpick. Gundam 0080 was a perfectly marbled steak without needing to trim off an ounce of fat. Gundam Thunderbolt, however, does have somewhat of a cliffhanger ending. After all, it is based on a manga that is still ongoing. It doesn't hurt per se, but it definitely has a bit of a to-be-continued quality to it that might bug some people. If you trimmed 1 or 2 minutes off the end, boom, a perfect standalone movie. But even with that, I think this was a huge breath of fresh air for not only Gundam, but also mecha anime as a whole. Wish all action anime films were this good.
This made me actually want to go and read the source material, so that says a lot.
Oh wow, I didn't know you could read, Kai.
Fuck you, Char.
Shut up, both of you! Now, do you guys think we've struck gold here yet again?
Oh, definitely. An S tier for sure.
An S for me as well.
And me too.
Ah, men of culture, I see. Gundam Thunderbolt December Sky is getting an S tier. So, we all like jazz. But I got another question for you, gents. You like skiing?
Never tried it.
When the hell would I have been able to go skiing? I grew up in outer space.
I love skiing. I remember it well. My dear mother and father would take me and Artesia to the snow resorts, and I always got a pair of shiny red skis. I could move 3 times faster than all the other kids.
Of course you have. Privileged-ass little brat boy. Oh, look at me. My dad is Zeon Zundai-kun. My mommy and daddy are rich politicians.
Jealous broke-ass haters gonna hate.
Children! I was only asking you idiots because we are talking about Gundam Thunderbolt 2 Bandit Flower, and this Gundam has a big pair of skis. I was trying to be funny and have a good time, but you buffoons had to go and be whiny bitches as per usual.
Oh, right, that makes sense.
Sorry, Captain.
I'm just gonna say it. This film was not nearly as great as the first.
Yeah, I agree, unfortunately. As mentioned before, the Thunderbolt films are based on an ongoing manga, and both of these films were technically a compilation of ONA episodes. That being said, that first film felt like a seamless production and flowed naturally as a standalone piece, while this movie felt more like a long episode of a TV show.
I should mention, however, this movie was still pretty damn good. You get more the same in regards to creative framing and cool battles, and it's definitely nice to get more of Daryl's and Io's story. The music is still awesome, and I appreciate the change in scenery.
You gotta admit, they did our boy Daryl pretty dirty. His one joy, his only light in his life, is a walking vegetable. Meanwhile, that asshole Io got an annoying ass lady who is just as crazy as he is. Honestly, I hope they both die.
Yeah, I'm glad they were never stationed on my ship. I had to deal with enough craziness.
What gets me the most about the movie is the fascinating element that's introduced that never gets a payoff. There is some interesting lore going on here involving a group of monks, and the film ends on a huge cliffhanger. We've never seen the new type abilities used in such a way, and I really wanted to see more. But alas, it's been 6 years now, and no sign of a third installment. They left us anime watchers with blue balls. I know I could go and read the manga, but damn, they were able to release the first 2 back-to-back. Surely there's enough material to adapt now.
This is one of those cases where it's hard to judge a piece on its own merit. This movie depends heavily on your familiarity with the first film, but even more so, this movie will be made better or worse depending on where this story goes. But at the end of the day, we have to judge what's in front of us. I thought this was a cool movie, but the magic spark found in the first film isn't here. The novelty has worn off, and there's no question that this isn't the tightly structured, well-oiled machine that December Sky was. I say we give it a B tier. You guys good with that?
Sounds good to me.
That works.
Definitely an upper B tier. Almost a solid A.
Alrighty then. Thunderbolt Bandit Flower is going to the top of B tier. We are finally leaving the 1-year war. Up next, we got what fans like to refer to as the Top Gun of the franchise, or more like a Top Gundam. Mobile Suit Gundam. 0083, Stardust Memory.
Another classic OVA with 2 banger anime openings.
It's nice to be done talking about the 1-year war and transition over into the Grips and Axis Zeon period. While the Earth Federation has won the war and defeated the Principality of Zeon, there are still remnants of Zeon loyalists who are trying to continue an underground revolution.
Our main pilot, Ko Araki, is our Federation ace pilot this time around. Even though he is an adult and is a legit military man, his character is still a bit on the immature side. He is up for becoming the test pilot for one of the 2 new Gundam units, the GP-1 and the GP-2.
The story takes a turn when Zeon ace pilot, Ana Delgado, sneaks onto the mobile suit test site and steals the GP-2 armed with tactical nukes. Talk about a bang! Damn, she thick as hell!
No kidding. This mobile suit got thighs for days.
I love a classic heavy armor mecha chonky boy.
Hell yeah, the mobile suits in this are pretty cool, and the battles and animation are right up there with 0080 and 8th MS Team. The story is also pretty neat here too. This is essentially a prequel to Gundam Zeta, and serves as the precursor to the formation of the Titans. It's also notable for featuring the first official Gundam vs. Gundam fight sequence in the timeline. This anime is loved by a lot of people, and I like it quite a bit. But I need to be realistic here. I don't think this is nearly as good as the other 2 OVAs I mentioned.
It has a pretty strong setup, and the concept works fine, But the main protagonist isn't very interesting and doesn't really grow over the series. It doesn't help that the supporting cast isn't very special either, especially...
Oh God, I hate Nina!
Gross! Toxic and red flags don't even cut it with her.
Yeah, I was slowly getting to that. I'm definitely not trying to come off as misogynist, but by all means, Nina is an insufferable bitch. Her character writing is what I would refer to as doo-doo dog shit. A lot of the cast acts a fool, but her character was relatively unremarkable. But then out of left field, that dumbass love triangle is introduced and just completely turns her into a shit-tier character. I know we mentioned the love story being a little underdeveloped in 8th MS Team, but this made that look like a masterpiece. There is no chemistry here, and it felt like it was forced in to create fake tension.
On the other hand, the relationship between Chuck and Mora was wholesome as hell. I wish that was the main love story instead.
Even though this series is short, I still felt it ran a couple episodes too long. I liked a lot of the show and appreciated the little nods and references, as well as the final sequence showing the formation of the Titans. However, if they really wanted to make a solid prequel to Zeta, I feel like they could have shown more of the Titans' rise to power, and maybe even their first few missions. The characters here are fine mostly, but I'm not sure they can hold up when compared to some of the other entries we've covered. It's one of those shows I thought I loved the first time around, but upon rewatches, just didn't hit quite the same. Still beautifully animated though.
I honestly went into this thinking it was going to be an easy A, but y'all brought up some good points. I'm trying to imagine this same show, but without the gorgeous animation. And honestly, I'm not sure if I would be looking at it as fondly. Well, looks like we might have another high B tier.
That's acceptable.
Let's do it.
Okay then, Mobile Suit Gundam 0083 Stardust Memory is getting a B tier.
That means the time has finally come.
Oh shit, you sound excited, Char. Did you want to do the honors and lead the way?
You're damn right I do. This isn't just any Gundam series we're talking about. This is the real certified GOAT, Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam. The first sequel and continuation to the original series. Some of my best work right here, baby.
The 80s. So nostalgic. Those were some good times. Right, Char?
Indeed. The coke and women were a lot cleaner back then.
Yeah. Wait, no!
What?
Yeah, yo, what the fuck?
Never mind that. How about them cool shades I got on?
Dude, wrap it up!
Of course. Zeta Gundam is possibly the most popular entry in the Universal Century timeline outside of the original series, especially over in Japan. After the success of the movie Trilogy and model kit sales, Yoshiyuki Tomino got a bigger budget to go wild and take the series in any direction he wanted. The story is set 7 years after the One-Year War. The Earth Federation government has created an elite branch of their military dedicated exclusively to hunting down Zeon remnants and suppressing any opposing forces. They are called the Titans, and they are an absolute bunch of pricks.
No kidding. It was a pure genius idea to make the antagonist of the Gundam sequel the protagonist from the previous entry. The original series was pretty bare bones. You had the Federation on Earth fighting the Principality of Zeon in space. But now you have the Earth Federation government, the Titans, the Anti-Earth Union Group, or AUG for short, and the Axis Zeon forces. It was a real messy conflict. The Titans were a corrupt military faction whose popularity and influence led them to gain power over the Earth Federation. It was somewhat of a civil war in that sense. They were tasked to hunt down the fascist Zeonic remnants and other Federation defectors. But in reality, they were just as vicious, if not even more brutal than the Zeon they were hunting. I make my grand return as the leading captain of the Argama ship, and am happy I made it through to see my wife and kids again.
The original series might not be a happy affair per se, but Zeta Gundam pushes it even further. Tomino made an effort to make this series even darker, killing off more major characters and overall keeping a heavier tone. He continued with this trend on several other anime projects, and they would earn the nickname as a Kill 'Em All Tomino series.
Speaking of characters, not only would Noah Bright make his return as captain of the Argama ship, leading the AUG, he would also be joined by myself as a new anti-hero type character under the new alias of Quattro Bagina. Never thought I would have to change my name a second time. Instead of my classic white-horned Zeon helmet and mysterious mask, I am sporting some badass shades and rocking my long golden locks. The ladies love it. Amuro also makes a brief return, and he's all grown up now. We form an unlikely alliance in the face of the Titans. Felt weird setting aside so much beef, but there were bigger fish to fry.
Don't forget about me! Not only am I back for the show, I got a big glow up and became a motherfucking spy. That's right. No more nightmare-inducing battlefields for me. I'm all top secret espionage now, baby. Investigative journalists like myself are the real MVPs. After all, how'd you guys think I found out about this chat tonight?
Oh, Kai, you sneaky little devil.
I'm glad we can all celebrate our return, but this show isn't really about us. It's about the next generation. The majority of the cast is made up of brand new faces, which was a bold move in my opinion. Sunrise could have easily recycled and continued with the old favorites, but they shifted the focus on new characters, making the world feel a lot larger. Our main character is now the blue-haired hothead, KAMILE B. Doan. Even though this is yet another series where a gifted new type teenager with military scientist for parents sneaks his way into a Gundam, KAMILE actually feels really different from Amuro. He isn't as apprehensive about battle and is a lot more headstrong. He also forms sort of a mentorship dynamic with Char, which was a great change of pace. The series is also a lot more diverse and features significantly more female roles. Not just love interest either, also plenty of soldiers on both sides. You get a chance to learn a lot about these people, and it's tragic whenever someone meets their untimely end.
Both our leading heroes and our antagonist in this show were great. The mobile suit designs in this are also incredible. The face shield on the Zeta Gundam is just iconic.
My shiny golden Hayakushiki is sexy as hell.
As awesome as this series is, I gotta say, I think it's sometimes overhyped.
Wait, what? Excuse me, Amuro? You wanna explain yourself, Mr. New Type?
Damn, Amuro, you fucked up.
Hear me out, guys. This show is great. It's a classic for a reason and deserves a lot of respect. It was more popular than the first series and arguably better in a lot of ways, especially the animation. It's definitely cleaner than the original series. The music is a 10 out of 10. The mecha designs are cool, and it has a lot of great characters. The story of multiple fighting factions in the Grips War made for some memorable battles. But sometimes there's almost too much going on. It's a little bit longer than the original series and covers quite a bit of ground, but I can't help but feel like some of it was unnecessary. It's hard to critique such a beloved anime, but I can't say it's as great as some of the other anime on this list. While the original series was quite quaint by comparison, I actually think its simplicity made it an easier show to enjoy. So many of these new characters are just here to spout some dialogue and then die. It can be hard to attach myself to them. And sure, this show gets pretty ballsy when it comes to killing people off. It's a pretty dark show and can get depressing at times, and that ending leaves a lot of people in shock. But I personally felt it made the show feel a little incomplete.
Well, you know what, Amuro? I think your mental state is a little incomplete. This is bullshit. Sorry 50 episodes was too long for your slow ass.
And I think you're blinded by nostalgia and those cheesy-ass sunglasses you wear to quote-unquote hide your identity. I mean, seriously? What kind of nut job wears sunglasses indoors on a spaceship?
Through all the wars we fought and all the blood we spilt to try and kill each other, this might be the final straw.
You can try and kill me if you want, but I'm giving this a B tier. I think it is slightly better than the original series, but doesn't reach the heights of what came after it.
B? B! B is for bitch! This is an absolute masterclass on how to make a proper sequel. An S tier, all the way.
Settle down, you two! I'm not having another petty argument start just because Amuro said this series is a little overrated. Now it's my job as captain and leader of this tier list to be the voice of reason and find a compromise. Now then, this series has a lot to love. It introduces some of the most important elements to the franchise, like cyber new types, multiple Gundams, young Maneva Zabi, and so on. This is a lot of people's favorite for a good reason, but so is the original series and movie trilogy, but we still ranked those below an S tier. My bias aside, I do agree that it didn't need to be nearly as long. There are random battles every episode just to introduce new mobile suits to sell model kits, and it messes with the pacing a bit. While the ending was pretty bold, it almost feels dark for the sake of being dark. The show isn't 100% perfect, but its highs are really high. I think the smartest decision for me would be to put this at a high A tier. That's right in the middle of your placements, and personally where I think it belongs. We got a deal. Gentlemen?
I guess that's fair.
Whatever. It's your stupid tier list. I voiced my opinion, and I know this is a masterpiece. I think Amuro is just jealous that I got a bigger role than he did in the sequel to his own show.
Got him! Damn, Amuro, you got upstaged and replaced by a blue-haired pretty boy with a girly-sounding name.
Oh, fucking hell, Kai! You did not just say what I thought you said!
What? What did I say wrong? It sounds like a girl's...
No, you idiot, stop!
I can feel a dark disturbance in my soul.
Shit, that's not good.
Oh, good God! Not him! Anyone but him!
Who? Who is it?
Fuck me! It's KAMILE! Somehow he found us, damn it all!
We are so fucked.
No, we aren't. Not on my watch. Listen very closely, Kai. This kid is nuts. Absolutely unhinged. If we are going to make it through this, we gotta deny any claims he makes about us making fun of his name. It triggers the shit out of him. So follow my lead. Okay, here we go.
Oh, hey, KAMILE.
Long time no see, buddy. How's it hanging?
Damn!
What?
Who said it? Who said it? Which one of you assholes said it?
Said what, KAMILE? Sorry, I'm not sure what you mean.
Horse shit! Don't play dumb with me, Captain Bright! By name! Who made fun of my name? It's a perfectly good name for a boy! Who said it? Which one of you assholes said it?
What? No way. We would never do that. Right, fellas?
God, no.
No way, Jose.
Never, ever.
That's right.
Die! Liars! Liar, liar, pants on fire! My new type powers never fail me! I can sense your fear! I heard whispers through the cosmos!
KAMILE, you're probably just tired. My new type powers act up all the time.
No! Shut the fuck up, Amuro! You washed up old has-been!
Ouch, dude.
Shut the fuck up!
KAMILE! Old buddy, I swear on Neo Zeon, no one said anything.
Buddy? Buddy? You know, you got a big mouth for a dirty traitor!
What? I am not. I've never betrayed anyone in my entire life.
Did you just conveniently forget that you were gonna drop a fucking asteroid on Earth? Remember that, dickwad? While I was still living there! You moron! You could have at least bought me a plane ticket, you inconsiderate prick!
Oh, shit. That one's on me. My bad.
Ah! And you! You're being awfully quiet.
Who? Me? Oh, nah. Man, I love KAMILE. I think it's a manly name. Reminds me of my grandfather.
Oh, whoops.
God rest his soul.
Just for the record, I always thought KAMILE was a cool name.
Says the pretentious douche who renamed himself Quattro Vagina. I mean, really? Of all the names you could pick, you choose 4 vagina?
Dude, that's uncalled for.
Oh, God. Now I'm thinking about 4.
Oh, boy.
4! Open your eyes. Don't do this. This can't be happening.
What the fuck?
Please! 4!
Look, KAMILE, I think you're just having a bad day.
Everyone's dying.
Holy shit!
They're all dying one by one.
Why don't you grab Fa, and she'll get your medication, okay?
Fuck! You can't sedate me! But I'll let you go this time. Just remember, if I find out that you guys talked about me on your stupid podcast or whatever it is you're doing, I will find you. Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I will find you! Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
In space, no one can hear you scream. In space, no one can hear you. In space, no one can hear you. Scream.
So, Zeta Gundam is getting a high A tier. And we're just gonna cut that part out and, move on.
I hope you learned your lesson, Kai.
How the flying fuck was I supposed to know that new types had fucking telepathic super hearing?
At this point, their powers are so inconsistent and overpowered, I don't even question it. Some hippy-dippy space magic George Lucas bullshit. Poor kid was in a coma for like months. We had to spoon-feed him applesauce while he made unbroken direct eye contact. It was scary as shit. We were all so happy when he finally woke up, but he went from a walking vegetable to a walking nightmare. I'd like to say we're all done with Zeta after that, close encounter, but we still have the stupid compilation movie trilogy from 2004, also known as Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam, A New Translation. Can't wait to hear you guys argue over this crap.
Slow your horses there. My take on this might surprise you, Noah.
Oh, really? Humor me.
Zeta Gundam, A New Translation, is certified doo-doo dog shit.
Thank God we can actually agree on something.
Same here.
I previously mentioned how the original movie trilogy expertly trimmed the fat, making for a purer and more palatable experience. The Zeta trilogy, however, makes the story worse. I can understand how it would be more challenging this time around, considering Zeta is a lot more dense compared to the original series. But the runtime for each of the films of the original trilogy was around 2 hours each. This time, they are around an hour and a half with credits, so they really had to omit a lot of iconic canon events. Why they wouldn't have done a full 2-hour feature, or even longer, is baffling to me.
So many iconic character introductions, character deaths, and other big historical moments are either changed or completely skipped over. And that ending. I understand that the darker, more cynical ending might have turned some people off, but it was such a staple of the series. And it also completely screws up the timeline, making it literally impossible to be considered canon.
Lastly, the handling of the remastering process is absolutely atrocious. It might actually be one of the worst examples of a remaster or remake in all of anime. The original movie trilogy was mostly made up of reused footage from the TV series. However, there were a few scenes that were either touched up or completely reanimated to help smooth everything over. Of course, at that time, they were using the same hand-drawn cell animation process used on all productions. This time, however, they decided to do something really fucky. They decided to use mostly recycled footage, just like the original. But for some baffling reason, they thought it was a good idea to insert modern, digitally animated sequences into the original 80s footage. The contrast is truly jarring. While it is very cool to see a lot of these famous moments animated so beautifully, the experience is horrendous because of how mismatched everything is. It doesn't flow naturally at all and takes you right out of the experience. It's like when you would play a low-poly Final Fantasy game on PlayStation 1, and then the cutscenes would be mind-blowing mini CGI movies. At least video games have a technical excuse. This just feels like laziness. And to add the cherry on top of this shit cake, to make it look more modern and fit theater screens, they cropped the original 4:3 aspect ratio to a 16:9 widescreen. These images were never meant to be seen zoomed in this close and blown up so big, so they look muddy as shit. The irony is that this 2000 remaster actually looks worse than the original film print. They even added this ugly high contrast filter on top of everything to try to make it blend together, but it makes it so dark you don't see any detail. Truly a stain on the franchise.
The only saving grace here is that these movies did very well in theaters. There seemed to have been a lot of nostalgia and hunger for old-school Gundam, so if it wasn't for these films, who knows? We might have not gotten things like Unicorn and Thunderbolt later on. They might have helped out the sales of the series, but they do not do the story justice at all. Trust us on this. Skip the movies and just stick to the original TV version. And for that, I gotta give this a D for disappointing.
Throw that trash in D tier.
Okay then. Zeta Gundam, A New Translation earns the spot as our first D tier. I feel like this video has taken such a sad turn. I'm done with all the negativity. I think we need a laugh, so this next entry should do the trick. Up next is the third entry in the series and the direct follow-up to Zeta, Mobile Suit Gundam, Double Zeta.
This is a controversial one. The fans were very eager to see what the next entry would entail, but in response to that dark ending, Tomino had to make this series far more lighthearted and appealing to children for toy sales. The cast is made up almost exclusively of young kids, the mobile suit designs are even more flashy and colorful, and there are more comedic moments and slapstick humor.
Episode 1 literally has a scene where the characters are attacking someone by throwing crates of bananas in zero gravity. Talk about going apeshit. That was funny as hell.
Just like the previous entry, Tomino decided to start with a clean slate of characters. Our main pilot is yet another new type teenager by the name of Judah Ashta. And I gotta say, I miss that kid. Amuro and KAMILE were fine main characters, but this kid had a lot of heart and soul. He is introduced at the start as a space junk collector who wants to steal the Gundam with his friends to sell for cash. But then his sister is kidnapped and the stakes are raised. He's not fighting for any country or creed. He is fighting to protect his friends and save the only real family he's got. Even though this series is a little bit more cartoony, I actually think it's hated on far too much. It was kind of nice to have something a little bit more adventurous to break up the heavy intensity, and it reminded me a little bit of other 80s anime like Pat Labor and Urusei Yatsura.
Not gonna lie, I'm not a huge fan of this show. While it was nice to see the conclusion to the Neo Zeon storyline from Zeta, and have that pesky Haman Khan as the lead villain, I really deserved some recognition here. After such a cliffhanger ending, you would think they would follow up with my story and Underground Uprising. But no. They instead have this horny 80s rock band chick and a dude who's a mega simp with a rose. They had the nerve to put me in the opening credits without even so much as a cameo. Even my sister got some screen time, so the story has some low points. But it also has too much canon material to skip.
I can understand why you don't like it, even though I think you are an absolute narcissist. I actually agree that you should have had a part in this series. Haman Khan and yourself had some major history, and it doesn't feel right that you are missing from that equation. But even with the cheesier tone and campy humor, I still think this show had some truly golden moments. It's a big mixed bag, and it isn't as good as the first 2 series. Yes, there are important canon events here, but regardless, this was a lot of fun. Not every Gundam needs to be a depressing slog, and the ending to this show is truly delightful. I bet you guys are jealous you never got the cute girl in the end and got to fly off to Jupiter happily ever after. Even though he's a complete psycho, it was truly heartwarming to see KAMILE run again for the first time since Zeta, with Fa lovingly by his side. If you skip this show, I think you are missing out. The first half is a little weird, but I promise it picks up and gets good.
I gotta ask, Char. If you didn't make an appearance in this show, then what were you up to that whole time?
I was busy planning something really big.
Well, that's super ominous and vague.
Don't worry about it, Kai. Just mind your own business. Word of advice, don't take any trips to Earth anytime soon.
Earlier, I said Zeta was overhyped. But on the contrary, I think Double Zeta is underappreciated. It's wrongfully dismissed and overlooked when people recommend a Universal Century watch list. It's far from perfect, but it's still a great classic in my heart. It feels like an appropriate closing to the series trilogy, and in hindsight, was the calm before the inevitable storm.
I kind of disagree, but not enough to fight on it. I got to see that pink-haired bitch die, so it's good enough for me.
I don't know about you, Amuro, but I'm thinking we throw this bad boy in C tier.
It's been empty for a while, so I say let's do it.
Alrighty then. Mobile Suit Gundam. Double Zeta is getting our first C tier. I can't believe we've already made it this far. It feels like this has all been boiling up to this point. This may not be the ending of the tier list, but this certainly was the end of an era. The 14-year rivalry between Amuro and Char finally comes to a close.
You are a real bastard for this one, Char.
What can I say to such a naive chump? I'm just a man who wanted to liberate Earthnoid souls weighed down by the oppressive chains of Earth's gravity.
You're full of shit, Char. And I'm done cleaning up after your mess. It's time to end this cycle of hate.
Boys, let's not get ahead of ourselves. This legendary film deserves a proper introduction. We aren't talking about some compilation movie or spin-off here. We're talking about the Gundam movie to end all Gundam movies. This is none other than the 1988 motion picture finale to the original Gundam saga.
Mobile Suit Gundam.
Char's Counterattack.
It was the culmination of everything Gundam had built up to that point, and is still to this day considered by many to be the true finale to the franchise. Adapted from the novel of the same name, Yoshiyuki Tomino had planned Char's Counterattack for a long time before Sunrise Studio gave him the go-ahead to do it. Having him write and direct every major entry up to this point made this feel like his final signature. The hype surrounding this film was insane at the time. That year was huge for anime film history. You had Char's Counterattack, My Neighbor Totoro, and the all-time king of anime films, Akira, all come out in 1988. Needless to say, the animation and art direction here is stunning. I think it's only right if I let you two cover the story here.
With pleasure. Char's Counterattack is set 14 years after the One-Year War and 7 years after the ending of Double Zeta. I have successfully claimed my place as ruler of Neo Zeon and have become a heroic figure in the eyes of the Spacenoids. With seemingly no end to mankind's greed and hatred and the proliferation of Earth's pollution and destruction of nature, I come to the conclusion that humanity must be forced into space permanently. To push this mass migration to pass, I plan to drop the asteroid colony Axis onto the Earth. This would cause a nuclear winter and allow the world to heal while mankind learns to live in harmony amongst the stars.
But of course, myself, Captain Bright, and the Londo Bell forces can't allow this to happen. I team up with my love, Chan Agi, and fight with our fellow soldiers to stop Char at all cost. My final mobile suit is the RX-93 New Gundam, and it is equipped with multiple flying funnels I can control mentally using my new type powers. But there's also a mysterious device sent to me called the Psycho Frame, which enhances the power of new type pilots.
Wasn't Char the one who sent you that? Why would he send you something to help you beat him?
Because I'm a man of class. If I am to fight Amuro, I want to make sure we are on equal footing. If he defeats me, so be it. But it wouldn't be easy. I'm in a giant-ass mecha called the Sazabi and won't go down without a fight easily. Just look at them legs, dude. I can kick like a mule.
It's no coincidence that so many people claim Char's Counterattack is their favorite when it comes to the Gundam and mobile suit designs. The craftsmanship here is unparalleled. Everything feels like a natural progression of what came before, and it's made all the better by the smooth animation. You really have to appreciate how solid the models look throughout. Usually on hand-drawn animated films like this, you'll get a lot of wonky, misshapen off-model frames due to rushed artists. But this movie doesn't miss a beat, which is impressive as hell when you see just how much is on screen at one time. Certainly isn't Akira levels of mind-blowing, but definitely one of the best, if not the best, hand-drawn cel-animated Gundam projects. Another fun fact is that this was one of the very first times that an anime production used CGI. It was very high-tech for the time and honestly doesn't look half bad, all things considered. It also must be mentioned that the score is the stuff of magic. It's harrowing and triumphant at the same time. You really feel like you are watching an epic blockbuster, regardless of its old age. But let me stop gushing over the audio and visuals and pick back up on the story. Char has used his father's namesake to claim his birthright as the leader of Neo Zeon. Using his political prowess with the help of corrupt Earth Federation officials, he manages to get his hands on the largest space colony to enable his kamikaze plan right underneath our noses. And in our tireless journey to stop him, we are joined by some new faces. Most importantly to me is my dear son, Hathaway Noah. Hathaway made a small appearance as a young boy in Gundam Zeta, but now he is a teenager who finds himself twisted up in the mix. Unfortunately, my son is a bit of a dumbass and falls for the most annoying, absolutely toxic young lady I've had the displeasure of meeting.
Oh man, not Quest. Ooh, first Nina, now her. I swear to God we aren't trying to hate on the ladies. Gundam just has some bad character writing when it comes to women, so blame it on the dudes writing this shit.
Yeah, Quest was something else. If it wasn't for her jumping in the way like a brat, I would have popped a cap in Char's ass right there and ended the war just like that. I understand the parallel they were trying to make with Lala from the original series, but it didn't work very well. This is supposed to be our movie, but a decent amount of screen time is put on these younger crybabies, and it can really distract from the drama. It could have worked, but it just wasn't executed well. Of all of the legacy characters they could pull from, they decided to create new characters instead that honestly aren't great. Especially Gus! That weird-ass, creepy, jealous cyber new type.
Speaking of creepy, Char, is there anything you'd like to say for yourself here before the internet cancels the living shit out of you?
What? Cancel me? Nonsense! I'd like to see someone try. I dare you! If you cancel me, I'll cancel your goddamn planet.
Whoa! Take it easy there, Char. I didn't want to mention anything at the beginning of the video because I know how Lala is a sore spot for you two, but wasn't she like 17 when you kissed her?
Oh, come on! That was years ago. It was the 70s. It was a different time.
Cuff! Groomer! Cuff!
You took advantage of Lala just because you have mommy issues. And then you confused and manipulated Haman Khan. And once she was dead, you took advantage of Quest. You groomed them for your own selfish desires. You monster!
I will not take this slander. I never fooled around with any kids. I simply saw their physical potential and influenced their growing minds to fit my purpose.
Dude, that's literally the definition of grooming.
Fuck!
Yikes!
Oh, don't worry, guys. There's no funny business going on here. I'm just brainwashing little girls to literally kill themselves for me on the battlefield.
Fuck you guys! A bunch of hypocrites. The White Base and Earth Federation literally drafted 15-year-olds during the one-year war.
Don't worry, Char. I know you're innocent. To be honest, I always assumed you used women as a cover anyways.
Exactly. Wait, what? What's that supposed to mean?
Come on, man. We all know about you two.
Fuck!
Hell no!
What the hell? Kai, you need to stop looking at fan art on Rule 34. It's rotting your brain.
You guys literally died together while Amuro held Char's ball.
What?
That's pretty gay, dude.
Fellas, I'm gonna be real with you. I always assumed there might be a little tension between you two.
Fuck that!
What kind of half-assed intervention is this?
All you seem to do is talk about each other and bicker like an old married couple. Look, it's the universal century now. Society has progressed far enough that you don't need to worry about hiding anymore. But for the love of God, get a room! Hell, I'll even pay for it if it means I won't have to hear you guys fight! I'm tired of this shit. I would never ever hate you because of hurtful, backwards prejudice. I do, however, hate you. Because you have single-handedly been the root cause of my misery since the moment you came into my life. Now, let's move on with the review before I shit, vomit, and cry at the same time.
Damn, dude.
I know this is the holy grail for a lot of fans, but I personally think this was disappointing for a finale.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Choose your next words carefully, Noah.
While it is nice to have a final battle between you two, they kind of regressed your character development to do it. Char might have been cold-blooded at first, but it's because he was getting revenge on the Zabi family for killing his parents. He was taking down a dictatorship from the inside out and still show compassion for his fellow soldiers. He also mellowed out a lot in Gundam Zeta and was such a level-headed leader when working with KAMILE. Not to mention, Char and Amuro set aside their differences and fought side by side already. They try and bring up Lala's death again in this movie as if it's some unresolved trauma, but these guys talked through her death years before this movie. If you ignore the second and third series and just skip straight from the original series to this, it actually makes more sense. I would believe Char was a genocidal maniac if he had the proper development, but he didn't. Not to mention, instead of having Quest and Hathaway in this film, they really should have had KAMILE and Sayla. The absence of Char's sister, Sayla Mass, aka Artesia, is truly unforgivable. I don't care if the voice actress was busy, hire someone else. For the final Gundam film to not feature one of the original main characters from the first series, who is also Char's only living family, is such a wasted opportunity. She wouldn't have approved of her brother's actions, and definitely would have tried her best to reach him. She at least deserved a scene where she witnesses the final moments of Amuro and Char glowing across the atmosphere.
Char, low-key, your plan was kind of whack. You really think you're Thanos or some shit?
You just can't comprehend my genius.
Kai might be stupid, but I'm actually with him on this. So let me get this straight. Your plan was to force everyone to move into space in hopes of learning to be harmonious and possibly evolve into new types. And you're mad at the corrupt Earth government for oppressing the space colonies, as well as polluting the Earth and killing nature to the point of making the planet uninhabitable. But don't you know that causing a nuclear winter on Earth would literally expedite that process and kill pretty much every land animal and plant life on the surface of the Earth? It's literally what took out the dinosaurs, for crying out loud. How can you be mad at people for polluting the Earth while simultaneously causing the single most detrimental form of pollution physically possible? And you claim to be a voice for the people and the hero of the oppressed. But you do realize it's only the corrupt politicians and wealthy elites who are going to be able to quickly and safely leave the Earth, right? Think about all the people in poverty, physically disabled, and literal slaves who have no means of leaving the planet. They are the very victims of the people you're trying to punish. You're literally worse than the zombies. There's no way people in need could feasibly leave the Earth quick enough to immigrate to space. So really, you're just killing a bunch of poor people and animals, forcing the rest of us to be stuck with the worst possible crowd. Hell, even my wife, me, or I, and my daughter took forever to get off the Earth, even with my military clearance. First, they were stuck in traffic. And then when they got to the office to renew their passports, they were told they had the wrong paperwork. So they drove all the way back home and got the right paperwork. But when they came back, they made them sit in the waiting room for 3 hours before being told that the files were in the wrong format. And you thought the DMV was bad. The Earth Federation passport services are a joke. So thanks a lot for wasting my wife's time.
Shit. I'm sorry. Okay? I helped save the Earth in the end. Didn't I?
That's true. For as many complaints that I have about wasting time with establishing new characters and having a slightly contrived plot, the ending sequence is a mesmerizing, bittersweet sight. While it might be cheesy for some, I actually think it was nice that the more spiritual element of new type's power is what was able to save the planet. Seeing both Federation and Zeon pilots sacrifice their lives for the Earth brought a tear to my eye. Little did I know that was the last time I would ever see you two again. And now, I don't know how to feel anymore.
Wait a minute. If you two are dead, how the hell are you on the Discord call?
What? Did you think that new types couldn't get on Wi-Fi?
This is some bootleg Star Wars Force Ghost shit!
So, with my criticism presented, I think I'm well within my rights to label this a flawed masterpiece and give it the highest A-tier rank.
Really, Captain?
Have you finally gone senile, you tired old war dog?
You can insult me all you want, but it's my list, so it's my rules. You're lucky I even invited you corpses. Mobile Suit Gundam. Char's Counterattack gets the top of A-tier. Unfortunately, we're moving on from an unforgettable experience to a truly forgettable one. Mobile Suit Gundam Twilight Axis.
Twilight, what?
Don't worry about it. This is a short film comprised of several miniature clips adding up to about 20 minutes of runtime. It's essentially an advertisement for a novel series, as well as a commercial for some model kits. Because this movie is so short, I'm going to keep this segment even shorter. It takes place shortly after the events of Char's counterattack and follows a new type Zeon soldier and her test pilot father figure. The animation is okay, I guess, but nothing to write home about. However, its story is told in a non-linear montage fashion that is incredibly confusing, and you get absolutely no feel for the characters. No one dies, nothing of importance really happens, and the antagonist is incredibly annoying. The only novelty here is that the Gundam is called the Tristan Gundam, and that just so happens to be the name of the person editing this video. It was only about 20 minutes long, yet somehow I still fell asleep. The way they handle the new type abilities honestly makes no sense, and it feels very shoehorned. The only thing that is remotely redeemable about it is its music, some of the prettiest sounding tracks of any Gundam. But just listen to the tracks online. The anime itself is a waste of time. It's not worth watching, and it's ultimately a glorified commercial. Just skip it. And with that, Twilight Axis gets a D tier. And before any of you smartasses in the audience get any funny ideas, no! We are not talking about Gundam Evolve or Gundam The Ride in this video. If you have to hunt down a bootleg video recording of a fucking theme park ride just to watch it, I really don't think it should count. And Gundam Evolve looks like diarrhea, so I don't want to see any comments about that shit, okay? Okay, moving on. Up next, we got a modern classic that helped re-energize the Universal Century. Mobile Suit Gundam, Unicorn.
I used to think Unicorn sounded lame, but this show proved me wrong.
The Unicorn Gundam is one hell of a design. That transformation sequence is one for the history books, and I think every Gundam fan has to have seeing the real-life, 1/1 unicorn statue in Tokyo on their bucket list.
The series is a 7-part OVA that feels like a movie and a series at the same time, much like Gundam Origin. There is also a TV series version, but they are literally the same thing, just divided up differently. The story is set 3 years after Char's counterattack and opens with the first space colony in Universal Century 0. It then flashes forward to Universal Century 0096, introducing our protagonist, Banagher Lynx. And yes, you guessed it, we have yet another teenage new type who accidentally finds himself getting into a Gundam. His life is changed when he meets a girl named Audrey Byrne, who is secretly Minerva Zabi from the Principality of Zeon lineage. Banagher finds himself becoming the pilot of a new Gundam that has connections to an item that is a potential threat to the Federation's existence called Laplace's Box. This entire story hinges on the mystery behind this secret MacGuffin. It is full of dozens of references to past UC entries and feels like a giant love letter to the Gundam franchise. It has amazing music, absolutely gorgeous animation, and tons of fan service that any hardcore Gundam fan would love.
This show was a very big deal at the time, and a fun fact I always like to bring up is that the series premiered on PlayStation Network Japan for PS3 and PSP.
The extended Gundam universe is known for having a lot of Char clones, alternate universe characters that are heavily inspired by my original design. But this time, we quite literally have a Char clone. And damn is he handsome.
Wow, what a humble guy. JK.
Though I'm not really sure how to feel about the name Full Frontal. That sounds a little too freaky for me.
As awesome as this show is, it can definitely be a lot at times. It is very dialogue heavy, and if you're not very familiar with the Gundam universe, it can be overwhelming and confusing. One such example would be the character callback of Puru from Double Zeta. It's really nice to see a version of that character play such a big role in a modern entry. And out of all the characters we've mentioned in this video, she might possibly have the saddest, most fucked up, and tragic backstory in the franchise. As for our lead character, I actually find him kind of boring. He's not bad per se, and he has a couple moments to shine, but he definitely feels like a copy of everyone who came before him, and I would have preferred a new spin on a lead Gundam pilot. I mean, for God's sake, how many more times do they expect me to babysit some teenager in a Gundam?
As for the conclusion of the story, some people love it, some people were kind of disappointed by it. I think the story definitely is more about the journey and less about the destination. I don't want to spoil it here, but once you find out what Laplace's box holds, it's a little underwhelming. I understand what it's supposed to represent and the implications it holds, but when you consider the entire history of Gundam and how many times governments and factions ignore laws and commit acts of treason, I highly doubt that this particular item would really have solved those issues.
The best thing we can say about Banagher and Minerva is that they represent a new beginning. They actively choose to end a generational cycle of trauma and work together towards a brighter future. That's a great theme and really is what Gundam is about.
Whenever Unicorn first came out, a lot of people were recommending it as a good entry point to Gundam, but I highly disagree. It's incredibly dense, and you really will only get half the amount of enjoyment out of it if you don't understand all of the references and callbacks. This really is a great series and is full of Gundam goodness, but it's definitely not the best of the best. I'm thinking we give this a solid A tier.
Sounds great!
Sure, why not?
Well, I mean, my manly, sexy hunk, Giga Chad jawline gets a S+. But yeah, outside my cameo, it's an A tier.
All right, thank you, Kai. That's enough now. Mobile Suit Gundam, Unicorn is getting an A tier. You know, we've complained a lot about new types, so this next one's going to be very hit or miss with us. Mobile Suit Gundam, Narrative, also known as Gundam NT.
Oh yeah, the one with the stupid-looking poster.
That was some pretty goofy shit they drew up.
I know, right? The three of us should do that pose ironically, just as a funny meme.
Nah, I'm good. I'm not looking to play Twister with you.
I say it's time we talk about the narrative of Gundam. Narrative.
Wow, Captain, think of that all on your own?
Boo!
Oh, come on, guys. I was just trying to be silly. Anywho, the story is set 1 year after the events of Gundam Unicorn. It opens on UC 0079, with the Zeon colony drop, Operation British, during the One-Year War. 3 children successfully warned some of the civilians in Sydney, Australia, where the colony hits, thanks to the use of their new type psychic powers, and thus, they became the Miracle Children. Flash forward 18 years later, 2 of the children, Michelle Luio and pilot Jonah Basta, are assigned to the Federation mission, Operation Phoenix Hunt, to capture the missing mobile suit, Phoenix. Both Zeon and the Federation are racing to capture the powerful mobile suit, and the mysterious machine is believed to be piloted by the Miracle Child, Rita Bernal. She displayed extraordinary new type abilities, and the children were all victim to the experimentation that went on in the new type labs. There are a lot of interesting concepts here and some pretty cool action scenes, but this particular movie really pushes your suspension of disbelief when it comes to some of the abilities here. For one, it doesn't really make sense that Rita would be a new type, considering she had never gone to space and was native to Earth. Also, by this point, the Zeon rebels really should be over and done with. I know conflict isn't resolved overnight, but it just feels like lazy writing to keep having Zeon bad guys. Especially the lead villain here, Zoltan Akanin. He's runner-up for the worst Gundam villain in the Universal Century. The idea of him being a failed Char clone who's gone insane is not a bad idea. But the real question is, why in the world would anyone give him any power or have anyone follow him? Seriously, every time he's on the screen, he's just screaming and maniacally laughing, talking about how much he enjoys killing people. That's not really leader material. I just hate any anime, or really any media that relies on the batshit insane crazy maniac archetype. It's just really shitty writing, and it's really boring to watch. There's even a scene where he's introduced listening to classical music. How much more cliché can you get? The whole idea is that all the characters want to find this mystical Gundam because it potentially holds the key to immortality. But regardless of how fascinating some of the plot elements are here, it feels far more like a comic book than it does a proper Gundam entry. It seems like they just wanted to play around and explore the new type phenomenon, while also trying to leave it behind. There's some great fan service and callbacks to the history of the franchise, but this entry definitely is going to split a lot of people. Now, I'm thinking this is a lower B tier.
No objection.
Bye-bye, failed clone.
There we have it. Gundam Narrative is getting a B tier. Yes! Woohoo! We finally are getting to what I'm most excited about!
Oh boy, nepotism much?
We are finally on my son's debut film, Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway's Flash. I'm so proud of my boy. He's grown up so fast, and this is one hell of a first movie.
Your blatant bias aside, this was pretty damn awesome.
Good God, this movie looks so pretty.
Hathaway's Flash is yet another Gundam entry based on a novel series. This is the first part of a trilogy and had its worldwide debut on Netflix. The story revolves around Hathaway Noah, who now goes by the name Mafti Aaron, as he starts a terrorist group to stop the abuses of the Earth Federation. This movie is not afraid to get real nasty and violent, and it feels a lot like an espionage action thriller. I know we've called a lot of Gundam anime beautiful today, but this really is some next-level shit. Director Shuko Murase and his staff knocked it out of the park. They capture all the little realistic details. Even just looking at the poster and concept art gives you an idea of just how much life is in this film.
Everybody knows how much we love our rival ace pilots, and this has set up a truly exciting deathmatch. Hathaway Noah versus Lane Aim. The She Gundam versus Penelope Gundam. This movie might have the scariest, most heart-pounding mecha fights ever. You get a really intense POV from the ground during these catastrophic battles. Whenever you have people and buildings for scale, it makes giant robots look far more menacing and realistic. But even the sky battles are badass in this. The scene where Hathaway has to catch his falling comrade from the sky was a kick-ass set piece. And our Filipino friends would slam dunk on us if we didn't mention the one and only Jollibee. That's right, the famous fried chicken establishment has front and center product placement here. There's something so surreal and hilarious about a sci-fi terrorist organization having their secret meeting at a Jollibee fast food joint. And to be fair, the product placement actually fits here because it's set in the Philippines.
It's a great meme.
I might get crucified for this, but I actually prefer McDaniel's Space Colony chain.
That's a major L take, but I do love me some McDaniels. Now I'm hungry.
And not to be a party pooper yet again, but damn, Captain Bright, your son has some shitty taste in girls.
Oh God, don't remind me.
Gigi Andalucia might actually be the most insane girl we've talked about yet. I want to chalk it up to bad character writing again. But I guess it kind of makes sense that her character would be spoiled, considering her privileged background. But more importantly, her character is supposed to mirror quests from Char's Counterattack, so it makes sense why Hathaway would be drawn to her. People's relationships in adulthood often reflect unresolved childhood trauma and the subconscious need to fix issues from your past. So it will be interesting to see how their relationship plays out.
There's really very little to complain about here, and it is an impressive first movie. But it is still a first entry. The movie ends on a to-be-continued note, and regardless, you really do need previous experience with past Gundam lore to appreciate this.
But I mean, it's just too beautiful, so I guess I have no choice but to put it in S tier.
Oh no, you don't! No way! Not so fast!
Sneaky little bastard!
You thought you could be slick. Well, think again, asshole. After what you did to Gundam Zeta and Char's Counterattack, it's about time you threw us a bone and stopped being such an authoritarian.
Fine. Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway's Flash gets an A tier. I'm sure whatever they have planned for the finale, it's going to be great. And I will be proud of my son.
Uh-oh.
Oh shit.
Wait, you mean you don't know how this story ends?
No. Why? Should I be worried? Is everything all right?
You know what? Don't worry about it. I don't want to spoil anything for the audience, so let's just move on.
Yeah, that's right. Spoilers. Of course, nothing to mention here.
Oh, okay, I guess. I'm willing to bet that none of us here are particularly fond of this next movie. And I personally think it's a bit of a shit show.
You mean the one where the Darth Vader ripoff is butthurt because his wife left him, so he turns into a genocidal dictator?
Precisely. If you don't mind, I think I would like to do another speed round on this.
Sure, get it over with.
Mobile Suit Gundam F91 is a 1991 motion picture directed by the Gundam series creator Yoshiyuki Tomino. It was supposed to be the start of a new Gundam saga set 30 years after Char's Counterattack, but due to budget and time constraints, they were forced to condense the story that they had written for 13 episodes into a feature-length theatrical film. As you could assume, that really killed any chance this had at having decent pacing or character development. The story begins during a space colony beauty pageant with our two lead characters, student mechanic Seabook Arno and his friend, Cecily Fairchild. No, that is not a joke, you heard me correctly. That's really their goofy-ass names. The military arm of Cosmo Babylonia, the Crossbone Vanguard, attacks the colony. If there's one good thing we can say about this movie, the animation is on par with Char's Counterattack, and this opening raid on Frontier 4 is gruesome. They really set the mood with this panic-inducing opening. Unfortunately, they're not able to keep up the momentum. Seabook and Cecily lead a group of friends and refugees to safety. But then Cecily is taken by the Crossbone Vanguard to meet her real father, Carozzo, also known as Iron Mask, who dreams of overthrowing the corrupt Earth Federation and replacing it with a more, quote-unquote, just aristocracy. Seabook becomes a pilot of the F-91 Gundam to fight against the Crossbone Vanguard, and Cecily serves under her father, who is a blatant Darth Vader ripoff. Even the theme song is just a plagiarized version of the Imperial March. The only other notable thing is that the Crossbone Vanguard sets up these flying drone-like chainsaw weapons called bugs that are meant to target human beings. It's super hardcore and easily the most nightmare-inducing Gundam weapon. Eventually, Seabook saves Cecily and the two of them save the day. And then the film literally ends on a "to be continued" with the words, "This is only the beginning." On the screen, spoilers. That shit never got continued. It did technically get a continuation in the form of the Gundam Crossbone manga, and fans have been asking for an anime adaptation of that for a long time, but it has never come. On its own, this movie is an exhausting slog that has no sense of direction and ultimately is pointless. It can't rely on nostalgia or familiarity with old characters, but it doesn't have enough time to establish any of its new characters, so it just feels rushed. I feel bad for slam dunking on it, considering its circumstances, but having cool robots and good animation doesn't mean anything when that applies to almost everything else on this tier list. So I recommend just watching the cool scenes on YouTube and skipping the rest. Save yourself the 2 hours. Mobile Suit Gundam F91 gets a D tier. I can't believe it! We are finally at our final entry. And before anyone goes nuts in the comments, I just want to quickly shout out a series we are omitting. That is, of course, Gundam Reconquista in G, also known as G Reco. I will just come clean and admit I haven't watched it yet. But considering it takes place over 1,000 years after the end of the Universal Century during the Regild Century, I think we can get away with saying it's technically not a UC Gundam series, even if it is set in the same universe. With that out of the way, last but not least, we have come to one of the black sheeps of the series. This is somewhat of a controversial one because of the behind-the-scenes drama, so this should make for an interesting final discussion.
And a horribly depressing one.
The final entry of the tier list. The 1993 television series, Mobile Suit Victory Gundam. Earlier, during our Zeta Gundam portion, we mentioned how Tomino has a reputation for making depressing kill-em-all series. And this here is a prime example of that. It's well known that he was going through a depression during the creation of the series, and the way the characters are treated reflects that. The show looks extremely cheerful and kid-friendly on the outside, but kid-friendly couldn't be further from the truth. It is absolutely miserable and very dark.
No joke. A lot of characters die here. And the ending? Fuck me, dude. Don't even get me started.
It's also well known that Tomino is not particularly fond of Victory Gundam. In fact, he has gone on record saying he doesn't want people to watch it and thinks that it's straight up a bad show. You can tell his heart wasn't in it, and I think he was just very tired of making Gundam by this point.
There was a lot of interference from the toy companies and executives to sell more products, and they wouldn't stop meddling with the creative process. This was incredibly frustrating for him. An example would be how the order of the first 4 episodes was switched around. Originally, the Gundam was not supposed to be featured until episode 4, but the executives wanted it to appear in episode 1 to get kids interested and sell model kits. So Tomino was forced to change episode 4 to episode 1, reframing episodes 1 through 3 as flashbacks. It was confusing as hell for absolutely no good reason. That would piss any director off, so I don't blame him.
The story is set in Universal Century 153 and succeeds the Crossbone Vanguard conflict of F91. The Earth, still loosely controlled by the greatly weakened Earth Federation, comes under attack by Bespa, the armed forces of the space colony-based Zanskor Empire. Only a ragtag resistance movement, Ligue Militaire, stands in Bespa's way as they swiftly conquer much of space and start their invasion of Earth. Victory Gundam is the Ligue Militaire's secret weapon. However, Bespa's power continues to grow using violent means, including public executions with guillotines to strike fear into those living on Earth. Our main character is a 13-year-old boy named Uso Iwin, and you'll never believe this. He's a teenager with new type powers who accidentally finds himself piloting a Gundam. Yada yada yada. I mean, fuck man. I really don't get how they can keep writing the same fucking story over and over. It's driving me insane. Sure, he's notable for being the youngest child to be forced into war in one of these shows. But like, who cares? The shock value doesn't really work here because it's not saying anything new. I don't mean to go off right off the bat like this, but whether you watch this show in release order or chronological order, you are really worn down by this point.
Damn, Captain! You are really tearing into this!
I mean, he's got a point. This show is incredibly derivative. I understand this was supposed to be somewhat disconnected from previous entries, and nowadays would be referred to as a soft reboot. But that's a lame excuse for this story.
Don't get me wrong, I don't hate this show, but it really tests me sometimes. We then follow this kid, his little lady friend, their pet dog, a fucking crying baby, some old military dudes, a sexy short-haired lady, a whole squad of sexy ladies. No, really, like straight up a super team of some fine baddies. And another shitty Char clone through their endless, violent, fucked up battles. The show has its moments, and I can understand why some people like it. Hell, I know quite a few people who say it's their favorite.
Oh, dude, that baby was so annoying. I don't hate kids, but goddamn. I started wishing Tomino would just nuke that baby like he did to that kid in Space Runway Idion.
The real issue here isn't just pacing, It's the absence of any real major character development. So many people die without you ever really getting a chance to know them.
And the mobile suit design is, well, interesting? They decided to go with a bug aesthetic, and it makes everything feel like Transformers or Beast Wars. There's even robot helicopters that use spinning blades on their arm to fly around. That's so fucking impractical. You're telling me for 100 years we've had jetpacks, boosters, and fighter jets. But now this futuristic military is using spinning blades on one arm to balance a whole damn mobile suit? It's just so jarring to have such colorful and cartoony designs with such messed up scenes.
By the way, Char, are the rumors true?
Ugh, what rumors are you referring to now?
You know, the ones about Uso being your great-grandson.
Oh, hell no. You clearly haven't heard the other word on the street. Char Aznable has the strongest pullout game. Just ask your mama.
Oh damn, got him!
Oh, yeah? Well, I would have you ask your mom about my pullout game, but she's dead!
Oh shit, dude!
I walked right into that one. Besides, do you really think I would let someone in my bloodline be caught lacking in the streets with that haircut? Just look at the thing. That poor kid got the bowl cut your mom would give you the night before your 3rd grade yearbook photo.
That checks out, I guess.
I say we wrap this up before we ramble on too much longer. Again, I want to reiterate, I don't hate this show. I think it has some interesting ideas and some profoundly sad moments. But this is definitely dark for the sake of being dark. I forgot to mention that a major high point for this show is its music. That first opening theme is deceptively upbeat and contrasts nicely with the actual darker-themed show, much like how the opening of Evangelion did for that anime. But at this point, there is not nearly enough in this series to measure up to everything that came before and after it. I know this has a cult-following fan base, so I'm sorry, folks. But I can't give this anything higher than a low C tier. I think that's fair.
C tier for sure.
Sorry, Uso. We know you went through hell, but you can rest easy now, kid.
Gundam victory? More like Gundam failure. Am I right, fellas?
Shut up, Kai, you're not funny. Mobile Suit Victory Gundam is getting a low C tier. Whew, I am beat. We are finally done.
Wait, Captain, it looked like there was still one Gundam left at the bottom.
Huh? I don't remember any. What the? No! Fuck! No! Now who the fuck thought this was a funny idea to put this shit in my list?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe the only troll who has the hacker skills to fuck around and find out.
Kai, you dick!
I mean, it technically should count because there's 3D animation in it.
You motherfucker.
You can suck on my red comet, Kai.
Fine! You want to talk about G Saviour? Then let's talk about G Saviour! You want to act like a spoiled kid? Well, I'm a captain, damn it, so I'm gonna finish what you started!
Lol, got him.
You motherfucker.
So everyone sit your ass back down and strap in! The final fucking entry! The 1999 Canadian live-action made-for-television film, G Saviour.
I'm gonna throw up.
I mean, is it really that bad?
Yeah, it's pretty fucky.
The film was produced as part of the Gundam Big Bang Project, which was a series of works made to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the original Gundam. It was a joint effort between the animation studio Sunrise and an independent film production company, Polestar Entertainment. The film was theatrically released in Japan in 1999 and broadcasted on TV in 2000. Set in Universal Century 223, the Earth Federation has collapsed, and the space colonies now refer to themselves as Independent Space Settlements. There are now two factions, the Congress of Settlement Nations, aka Consent, and the Settlement Freedom League. The two sides battle and so on. The end. The special effects looked like a cutscene from Omega Boost on PlayStation 1. And the production was so damn cheap, they literally reused the uniforms and props from Starship Troopers for their soldiers. How did they think people wouldn't notice? Half the movie looks like it was filmed in an abandoned warehouse or a closed parking lot. This movie's biggest crime isn't that it looks like a shitty bowling alley animation. It's that it's painfully slow and boring. To give credit where it's due, the story fits within the Gundam style. And I think they went in with good intentions. They just didn't have the money or experience to back it up.
You know a movie is a mistake when the creators of Gundam are so embarrassed, they literally removed the Gundam name from the title. But it's too late. It's out there in the wild now. They even made an official model kit and everything. The PS2 game was actually decent. And the only fun fact I got for this is that they actually have one of the Gundam English voice actors in the movie. But unfortunately, this is just a dud.
And thus, the live-action anime curse continues. Let's hope that the new Netflix movie breaks the mold.
Hope you're all happy. Geez, I can finally rest now. Geez, Saviour gets the lowest spot of D tier. Oh my God, we did it! We actually did it! We're finally done!
Well done, guys.
We did it!
Not you, Kai!
And a quick shout out to the editor of this video, the Retro Robo Boy. I'm sure it took dozens of hours to sort through our mess, so good job, kid. We couldn't have done it without you.
No problem, Captain Bright. Anytime.
Hey, nice cosplay there, sport.
Wow, thanks, Char. Means a lot coming from you.
Wait a minute. Did this retro robo douche write down in his own script to thank himself? What kind of weirdo does that?
Honestly, this is getting way too meta. Forget about it before we all have another existential crisis. Well, I guess this is it. The complete Universal Century anime tier list. So what do you think, guys?
Well, I think
this is worse than any war crime ever committed. I hate it.
What? This is top-tier Gundam retrospective material right here, baby. Maybe you should get your eyes checked after wearing those sunglasses too long.
I mean, I wouldn't say top tier, but it's acceptable, I think.
Hell no, dude. This list is trash, and you know it, Amuro. If you thought the Zeon were crazy, just wait till you see how insane the Gundam fanboys are. They're coming after you like the Red Zaku. Honestly, I'm starting to second-guess the whole saving the Earth thing. I should have let that meteor drop and put us all out of our misery.
Oh, shut up! You're such a prima donna. Why don't you go find another 15-year-old to join your stupid cult?
It's your funeral, Noah. You can blame this on the misfortune of your birth.
Oh, don't listen to him, Captain. I think we had a lot of fun here today.
I fucking hope so. We took up a lot of our viewers' precious time. I even missed my own daughter's dance recital for this. Amuro, I'm tired. I think I'm getting too old for this shit.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Hey guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Retro Robo Boy for more quality Gundam videos like this. We appreciate it. Well, Captain, I'm off. I'll catch you in a lobby sometime. Later.
So, I guess it's just the two of us old veterans now. Still kicking.
Yeah, I guess so. What of it?
I got a copy of Gundam Battle Assault. Want to come over and play a few rounds?
Fuck it. Why not?
Yes, finally!
I'll be over in a few. See ya.
Well, that's all, folks.
Char!
Come on, Khan. I'm here to finish this.
So you really have betrayed us, Char.
Not so. I've never betrayed anyone in my entire life. Ever!
Coming? I'll never forget this. Not ever. Not in a million years. Bye!
My, he's dramatic. Your pal acts like you'll never see each other again.
He does, doesn't he? I have to find them! My life is riding on it!
Hey, Garma, do you read me? Blame this on the misfortune of your birth.
What? Misfortune?
That's right.
Char, you're not saying that...
You were indeed a very good friend to me. Don't take it personally. You can thank your father for this.
Char, you double-crossed me, Char!
Oh, shit! Oh, Lord Jesus!
9!
Garma, I'm sending your sister to join you. Consider this my farewell present.
Is that Char?
Not so. I've never betrayed anyone in my entire life. Ever!